Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm back, George Zapata, back with the Zapata brand, back from after a little bit of a car wreck, but I am back now. And what week to be back with? The week Manny Pacquiao decides to get back into the ring to become the first fighter to be inducted into Hall of Fame and then go after a world championship. But I have a special guest, a great commentator, and one of the best minds in boxing, and also a former world champion and has fought Manny Pacquiao himself. The great Chris Algieri joins us for a couple minutes. Chris, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. That was a very nice intro. I appreciate that.
Well, you know, I told Derek a long time ago, Derek, you're one of your trainers at the time, that one of the best minds in boxing that doesn't get enough credit, and obviously your accolades with being a nutritionist, an author, the list goes on, is you are one of the smartest minds in boxing. And I that's a tribute to your education too. Chris, you there? Oh, Chris is frozen. Chris has frozen.
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
I chopped out there for a second.
Oh, there you
am
go.
I coming through all right now?
Now you're good. I gave you all these compliments and you just were staring at me. I'm like,
I missed
I guess it wasn't that good. I said, I talked to Derek Santos years ago when he was here at a boxing show. I said, one of the best minds in boxing that I've seen on TV that doesn't get as much credit as he should. And I only see you doing analyst for a little bit. Was you, Chris Algieri, because you come from a different mindset, and that's something I want to hit on at the end. But you really break it down for in layman's terms, because you have all these letters at the end of your name, like the bachelor degree and whatever. I have DUMB, so you got to really spell it out for me. And I always look at Chris Algieri to break it down for me better than most people.
You know what it is, George? I'm a fight fan first, and I came up watching the greats, the best analysts do it over time. I remember watching Max Kellerman when he was literally first starting out, getting his feet wet, and where he's at today. Jim Lampley, Emmanuel Stewart, George Foreman, Roy Jones, and they're working on HBO. Listen to all these guys break it down, and then more new age like Paulie Malignaggi, I think is absolutely fantastic. One of the best to ever do it. And I remember just watching these guys and just and learning from how their verbiage, how they break things down. And then you just got to find your own lane. And for me, when I call a fight, I want to touch on the nuances of this sport because it's such a difficult sport to really comprehend when you're watching what's happening. Things are happening so fast. Guys are thinking ahead. It's fast chess with dangerous implications. And oftentimes you're missing a lot of those finer points of the sport. It's called the sweet science for a reason. So for me, I want everybody leaving a fight that I call with a little more knowledge than they came into it with. I want to learn something, one takeaway, one nugget. And if I do that, then I did my job. And then the rest is up to the fighters to do their job and put on for a good show.
Well, you certainly do a fantastic job. And this week, you will be hosting a live streaming chat in real time on ppv.com for the fight Manny Pacquiao and Mario Barrios. So let's get right into the fight itself. Mm-hmm. When you first heard that Manny Pacquiao at 46 years old was jumping back into the ring, now, number one, getting a title shot, that's something way out of whack. Mm-hmm. But at 46, out of the ring for so long, I don't know how he didn't look so great. But then again, Barrios didn't look so great. What was your initial gut feeling?
So initially, I think I had what a lot of us boxing purists kind of think like, man, why is he doing it? But then I was like, you know what? I'm not surprised. Manny's a warrior, dude. He wants to fight. This is what he wants to do. And listen, people are like, oh, he's broken. I don't think that's the case. I think Manny just wants to fight. And that's just what Manny knows. He tried to keep himself busy outside of the ring, playing basketball, doing politics, but nothing gives you that same burst of energy, that same buzz, that same high as fighting. And I get it. And this is something Manny's been doing his entire life, something I've been doing my entire life. So I understand where the pull comes from. But also, Manny, he's a warrior, man. This is what he knows. This is what he wants to do. And, the jumping right into a title, that's a whole different thing to talk about. Not a big fan of that. But the fact that he's back, listen, it's Manny Pacquiao. If anybody can do it, he's one of those guys.
But realistically, you are a nutritionist. You have degrees in kinesiology, I believe. You have realistically, what can we expect from a 46-year-old man? Like, and I'm not saying it's going to be what Mike Tyson, because that's totally different. Mike Tyson has abused his body tremendously. What do you expect possibility out of a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao?
With Manny, you kind of got to throw rational perspective out of the window. The guy started at 108 pounds and has a world title at 154, was stopping guys, at welterweight. He's one of the most dynamic, explosive punchers that we've ever seen. An absolute machine in there at his best. And then even past his prime, Manny Pacquiao, coming back at 41 years old and dropping Keith Thurman, hurting him to the body, taking his O for, a welterweight title is incredible. I mean, the guy has been outdoing what's supposed to be possible over and over and over again throughout his entire life. And that's why I said, like, if anybody can do this and come back and be successful, it's Manny Pacquiao. But in terms of a physiological standpoint, older brains don't take punches as well. Brains aren't made to take punches at all. But the older they get, the less resistant they become to punching. Testosterone goes down. Hormonal changes happen. Reaction time, speed. That initial first step. All of those things change as you age. And there's nothing like being in a ring. Yes, I understand. You could be training. You could be in the gym. Listen, hell, I'm in the gym 2-3 days a week. I'm not saying I can jump right into a fight. I might look like I can. But the reaction time, the tells, to be able to read certain things during a fight at high level, world class speed is entirely different animals. So, yes, part of me worries. My rational side, my scientific side, the idea that my fighting side worries, but also my nostalgic side of Manny Pacquiao goes, he might have one more in him.
Well, let me ask you, you amongst the legends that you fought, Manny Pacquiao was probably your most high profile fight, or
Also the best fighter I ever fought.
Okay.
Yep.
What did you experience that you didn't expect? Where it was, because at the time you pulled off a few upsets here and there. You were doing very well, but this is a whole different ballgame. You're in Macau. It's a whole different thing. Something you haven't experienced. What was the one thing or two things that you noticed that you said, "Whoa, this is way different"?
Yeah, I mean, with Manny, like you said, I was coming off a bunch of upsets. They earned the position to fight Manny Pacquiao, and over in Macau, the fight before was upset of the year versus Ruslan Provatnikov, who was the boogeyman of the 140-pound division.
Great fight.
That's where I won. That's where I won my WBO World Championship. I broke my orbital and my nose in that fight. The Manny Pacquiao fight was only 4.5 months later, so I had a very quick turnaround from a very damaging fight. To get back into it with Manny, but we were super confident. I was undefeated then. I was a 20-0 undefeated world champion with a guy who I have zero amateur boxing experience. I went right from professional kickboxing to the pros in boxing. My first professional boxing match was my first boxing match, amateur, pro, whatever. That was it. It was right to the pros. And within 20 fights, I got myself to be a world champion and was stepping in the ring across the world against Manny Pacquiao. So there were a lot of things that I was not used to, but man, when you're young and dumb and you're the man and you're feeling yourself, there's a bit of a delusion there that, I'm ready for anything. Manny Pacquiao's a whole different animal, dude. I just, like you said, I've fought a lot of really, really top flight guys over the years. Manny Pacquiao was by far the best. He was way smarter than I expected. He's a rhythm fighter, but he breaks rhythm constantly. And I was a rhythm fighter as well. And I was very good at honing in on guys. I was a boxer. I fought long. I used my jab to set things up. I set things in advance. I played chess. And with Manny, he was a very difficult guy to find his rhythm. And I felt like every time I found his rhythm, he was able to break rhythm and change and then find a new rhythm. And he was very aware of when I found him. I think of like the movie Top Gun when they're trying to get the crosshairs to find that jet as it's going. Every time I felt like I honed in on Manny, he was aware of it and made an adjustment. So his ability to adjust on the fly during the fight was incredible. And I've always said, you can be the fastest guy in the world. You can hit the hardest. You can have the best chin. All of those things matter. What makes a champion is the ability to adjust. And Manny adjusts better than anyone I've ever been in a ring with.
Now, were you more impressed with his footwork or his hand speed?
Actually, I thought Amir Khan was faster in terms of hand speed.
Did you?
I thought Amir Khan was faster. Manny's footwork and his angles were tricky. Very. So I like it like this. When I fought Ruslan, who obviously was not a footwork genius by any means, but I knew where I was safe. I knew when he was set. He's a puncher. He was set. I knew he hit hard there, but there were other times where I was able to cut an angle, get a different position on him. His feet weren't exactly set. I'm like, even if he lands, it's not going to be devastating like it was before. Manny, you're never safe because the guy will be on one foot off balance and he'll crack you, and it's still like, whoa, that shot should not have hurt that bad, but it did. He just has different powers. His hands were bricks. His hand speed was there, but the angles made it very, very difficult for him to deal with. And even the fight, listen, the fight did not go well for me. Obviously, it was not what I expected, but I was able to make him miss a lot. And because, the hand speed, I prepared for the hand speed. His first step is super fast, super fast.
Yeah.
But as the combinations come together, there were gaps. There are places they hit him. And that's actually how you beat Manny Pacquiao. I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. Like when I fought Amir Khan, his first step wasn't as fast, but his combinations were blistering. It was really difficult to tell where the punches were coming from because they came so fast. So I actually put Amir Khan as a faster puncher than Manny Pacquiao. But for Manny, it's the whole deal. It's the rhythm, it's the breaking rhythm, it's the footwork, it's the angles, and it's the bricks of hands that he's got.
Now, you are the second person who has told me about his hands. The first being Brother Nassim, the great trainer out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. When he was said, Manny came to him and said, "Hey, check my hands, check my wraps," and he said he never felt anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, how does he? What is it from the way he punches, or is this just something supernatural?
It could be genetic. It could be, just the way he's prepared his whole life. He's been fighting since he was, a kid. But listen, a lot of us have, and at a high level. Yeah, his hands are different, man. And he's not the hardest puncher I ever fought. That's Ruslan. Ruslan hit incredibly hard. He wasn't the fastest puncher. Like I said, you can be the fastest, you can hit the hardest, whatever. It's everything else. But yeah, the hands were quick and they were heavy. Very, very different than those other guys. Amir, very fast hands, and he hit hard, sure, but he didn't have the same weight to the punch the way Manny did. And then Ruslan hit super hard and did have some pretty quick hands on the inside, but the speed wasn't the same. So it's the combination of the snap and at the end of it, like a bowling ball for a hand, that makes Manny different.
Now, you alluded to it previously about how Manny does have holes and some points that you can punch through. If you were Barrios and you were his trainer, what are you looking at in his style that has those holes? Because and they are going to open up a little bit more at 46. But we're right now. If you were, let's say you were fighting Manny 5 years ago, what point can you pinpoint and say that's where we're going to go for?
And this is funny. At ProBoxTV.com, I work with Juan Manuel Marquez, and obviously he's got the 4 fights of Manny Pacquiao, and he's the only guy that ever figured Manny out, right? And it took him 4 fights to do it. It took him 40 something rounds, and it wasn't easy by any means to get to that point to where he actually caught him with that right hand at the end. And him and I have spoken about it. And then I ran into recently, and this was a really fun conversation, was Nate Campbell, and Nate Campbell and I are talking about Manny. Nate's a friend of mine from here down in South Florida. And, so we're talking about that fight, and he goes, "Hey, you know what you got to do with Manny? You got to stand your ground, hold position, and you got to punch with him." He's like, "I know it's hard to do because the guy's got fast hands, he cuts angles, and he hits hard." He's like, "But that's the way you got to do it." And he goes, "You know who did that?" And he points right over my shoulder, and he goes, "Juan Manuel Marquez did that. He stood his ground, he punched with him, and he caught him." And if I was going to talk to Mario Barrios, which I am going to this week, I'm going to tell him just that. I mean, and Mario can do that. Mario doesn't break position. He's a bit of a front foot heavy fighter, and he'll stay right in the pocket, and he will punch with you. With his length, and I think he has respectable enough power that's going to be his position. Get that head offline, put that punch on there, and you gotta go head first into the lion's den, because with Manny, it's coming at you fast, it's coming at you furious. But maybe Manny at 46 is a hair slower, and you can find that hole. That would be my advice for anybody who would be fighting Manny Pacquiao at this point.
And that's a great transition as we go head to this fight on Saturday night, looking at Barrios on his end. Not the greatest last fight out. It was a brutal fight, and could be one of the reasons why he got this fight. If they were going to pick one, I would imagine they would cherry pick him as opposed to Boots or Brian Norman Jr. I think you want to stay away from those. Does he have the chin to hold up? Because I think the last thing to go will be his power, Manny's power. If he punches with him inside, and that last fight against Ramos, he hung in there. Is that a dangerous tactic with someone like Manny Pacquiao, who, if you were going to beat him at 46, you might want to box him a little bit more than just bang with him? Is this a dangerous style for him?
So actually, Barrios, and people are asking me because, initially when this fight was announced, the same thing you were saying. It's like, oh man, do we really want to see Manny come back here at world-class level? But I was like, listen, if you're going to pick a guy, and this is not a knock on Barrios, it's just his style. I mentioned he's a heavy front foot fighter. He fights with that front foot, and he throws a stiff, hard jab, doesn't vary it a whole lot. Those are the kind of guys that Manny Pacquiao cut his teeth on throughout his career. Think about Margarito. Antonio Margarito, 54, huge puncher. Guess what? Heavy over his front foot, stuck his jab, but didn't change it up a lot. Big puncher, sure. Aggressive guy, physically strong, but those are the kind of guys that Manny's good at. He's good at fighting taller fighters. Look at me. I was 5, 6 inches taller than Manny. He's very good at fighting taller fighters, especially guys who are heavy over that front foot that are going to be there to get hit. So I see where Pacquiao is coming from. And you're right. If it wasn't necessarily Mario Barrios and you could see how easy he was hitting that last fight against Abel Ramos, who's solid, but should Abel Ramos really be in a life or death world-class championship fight? You wouldn't expect that. So yeah, I do think part of the reason that Mario is the guy getting picked, or the reason that Manny's coming back, is because they see an opportunity. And I hate knocking Mario because I really like him. And Bob Santos is a friend of mine, and he's told me to watch out for this kid for a long time, and he's really getting better. And I saw that improvement. But between the Fabian Mandana fight and the Abel Ramos fight, we saw some of those defensive lapses where he does get hit, gets his nose bloodied, gets swollen a little bit. And like you said, Manny Pacquiao, yeah, he's 46. The guy can punch. Can he pull the trigger? That's going to be the question. And that's going to be something that you're not really going to know until you see that first round. Barrios has got the height advantage. He's got that hard jab. I think he's got heavy thudding punches, even at 47. So using that from the outside, getting into a little bit of the boxing match to see how those reactions are, but also putting some heavy shots on Manny early, I think is a good idea. Maybe make him think that this return was a bad idea.
Now, Manny's big on, and you would said against tall fighters, going down low first to the body and then working his way right back up to. Is that why you think he is the advantage against a taller fighter like a Barrios?
I don't know if that's exactly the point. That's part of it. That's one of the variables that, or one of the tactics that Manny uses. But he did that against Keith Thurman, who's not much taller than him either. He started down low. He hit him with that hard straight left hand to body, and then a power power swivel jab over the top that actually dropped Thurman. So that's just one of his tactics that he uses well. If you notice, he's had more trouble with guys that are his eye line. The Juan Manuel Marquez's, the Tim Bradleys of the world. Agapito Sanchez back in the day gave him hell. So it's those guys that are the same height. He always fights better against the taller guys. That's always been something that he's really liked to do until Ugas. But Ugas, I think he wasn't at that level anymore at that point. But yeah, the taller guys, he seems to have I think it's the in and out footwork. I think it's the explosive first step. And again, picking those guys that are going to be heavy over that front foot, where defensively the speed will take advantage of their positioning.
Do you think people know the stakes involved in this, meaning for Barrios and then for the legacy of Pacquiao after this, win or lose?
I think so. I think I don't think it matters as much for Manny. If Manny goes out there and loses even badly, I don't think it matters for his legacy. I think what he's already done is enough, more than enough. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. He's one of the best fighters of our generation, no question. But he's doing what a lot of fighters do, and if he is to lose, they came back for one more, and it wasn't the right time. It wasn't a good idea. We've seen this time and time again where we see champions, even great champions, fight on too long. So that's nothing new, and I don't think we hold it against guys as much when they've accomplished the body of work that a guy like Manny Pacquiao has accomplished. But it's unfortunate, listen, I did it too. I'm nowhere near the level of Manny Pacquiao. Fought on too long and it ended badly. That's part of what happens to a lot of great champions. Because you always think you got one more, and you can take the young hot stud on. But also for Barrios's legacy, this is a big deal. You get to step in the ring with a Hall of Famer. You get to fight Manny Pacquiao. Beyond the money, beyond that, but the accolades, everything, and I saw an interview. Barrios said, like, hey, fighting on that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul undercard changed my life, and it's put me into this position. I'm more well known, which I think is another reason he got this fight, because he is a known entity. So yeah, I think legacy wise, it's going to affect probably Barrios more than Manny, unless Manny wins. Then forget it. Then his legacy goes even higher, which is hard to even fathom, because his legacy is already stellar.
Now, does a part of you want to see Manny walk away, win, lose, or draw?
Yeah, a part of me wants to see Manny win. Not that I'm rooting for Manny, but it's like, just nostalgically, it's cool. A part of me, I think I want Barrios to win because it's good for the division. Because there is that chance that Manny wins and then just walks off. And that doesn't help the division. You know, it helps legacy, sure. It helps the sport. It's a great story, but it doesn't help the division. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to skin this cat, but I think that I don't know, man. I don't know how this fight's exactly going to go. I've got an idea. I've got some analyzing and studying left to do. It's one of those. I always say, like, I don't like giving my predictions until I see the weigh-in. Weigh-in's gonna be really telling for me. So, but yeah, I don't know. This fight can go a lot of different ways.
It's definitely a toss-up, and I'm going to wrap this up with this right now. I know. Okay, so he's coming back. This is the usual trail for most fighters. Most fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Manny's made over $150 million, and that's just in purses. Okay, there is a gut feeling in my gut, unfortunately, that this is a comeback for cash. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but Manny is one of the most generous people. There was a tax issue. How is it, and why is it that someone like you can get out of this sport, and you were on a high level? Let's be honest. You weren't elite of the elite, but you were on a high level. Okay. You made great paydays. Why is it that the people who make the elite of the elite, 150 million, there's rumors of Mayweather having issues. He's getting sued. Why is this always the case for fighters that make that kind of money? And I
More
say
money,
that
more
only
problems.
because, I say that because I look at you and you've gone from a career that went sky high, did what most people said you couldn't do. You've got great purses. You're doing well financially. You still got your good looks. I mean, I'm jealous of that hair. My God. And you just are doing very well. You got out of it the right time. Whether you came back or for a fight or not, you got out of it the right time. Why is it the people around? Is it just the atmosphere, or was it your upbringing?
Couple things, I think. For one, definitely the upbringing. I had a very different upbringing than most fighters. And where I'm from, my parents are hardworking. They always work. I wasn't. My parents weren't really around when I grew up. They were too busy making money. Living on Long Island it's an expensive place, and so my parents worked really hard so we would have, a good life. And as I saw that work ethic, and that was a big part of it. My mother I'm first generation. My mother's from Argentina. She moved to the States when she was 14 years old. I lived with my Argentinian grandparents. So I saw the hard work and what it took to create a new life in a different place. But also, I made my first payday when I was 30, not 20. And when you're making fast money at 20, I don't know if I would have been any different. If you gave me a 7-8 figure paycheck at 21 years old, you get accustomed to a certain burn rate. And I think some of these guys who get these massive purses when you're making 5, 10, 15, 20 million dollars, especially when you're young and you don't have a good team around you, the burn rate can be very high. And I think we see that. One is generosity. Like you mentioned, Manny Pacquiao is very generous to the people around him. And we see that. We see the basketball players coming up, buying everyone a house, buying cars for people. Yeah, listen, it can go fast. As fast as the money comes in as an athlete, it goes even quicker if you start being really generous and you start getting yourself into not the best investments. Your buddy's got a business idea. Everyone has a business idea when you get paid.
Restaurants.
Everybody's got
a restaurant.
Restaurants, gyms, things that just don't make money. And that's another thing is having a team around you. I remember my first payday was the Manny Pacquiao fight. I didn't make much money up until that point. Even the Ruslan fight was not a big payday at all. By the time I paid off all my bills throughout my career and my school loans, I think I netted like $4,000 from that fight. By the time I paid everybody, paid my taxes, another thing, got to pay your taxes.
From the Pacquiao fight?
From Ruslan Provatnikov.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez, that scared me.
Sorry, no. My first big payday was the Pacquiao fight, and that's when everything changed. But so once I knew that money was coming in, the negotiations were done. I knew what the purse was going to be. I started thinking, calculating in my head. I had big sponsors too. I had a lot of good side money coming in. I knew that was all coming in. I was terrified. I'm like, I don't know what it's like to see that kind of money in my bank account. So I just developed a team. I had a very good lawyer at the time, a boxing lawyer, Eric Melzer, who also helped Bernard Hopkins throughout his career. And then I got a very good accountant. and it was a team effort with the accountant and my lawyer and also a financial advisor. And I met with them multiple times before I even went to camp for the Pacquiao fight. Like, hey, this is what it's going to look like. This is how much money's coming in. Taxes we got to pay here. We got to pay taxes in Macau. We put up a whole plan, and I knew where all that money was going to go, what it was going to be divided into. Because listen, you got a couple $1 million sitting in the bank. That's not going to last long, dude. It's very easy. It looks like it's endless. There's so many zeros. It looks like it's endless. I can spend like, nah. So I didn't want that. I knew I had to be smart enough to be prepared, having the right people around me. And listen, when you're 21 years old, you don't have a network like that. When you're 25 years old, you don't necessarily have a network like that. When you have people around you who are trying to take advantage of you, there's all those stories about Mike Tyson, people trying to take advantage of Mike and all that money that's around him. And when you have that much at a young age, I think it's easy to fall into that burn rate and being taken advantage of and being overly generous. It seems like it'll last forever, but it just does not. And so I had a different mentality. Again, being 30 when I first made my first paycheck is very different than being 20.
And well, Chris, you're not the only one coming in the Algieri family coming up the ranks here. Your nephew doing a hell of a job in New York here, multiple-time Golden Glove champion. If you want to give him a quick shout out, what he's doing in his career here.
Yeah, no, Mikey Carlos Algieri, he can really fight. He's a 3-time 2-division New York State Golden Glove, it's a Ringmasters champion.
Yeah.
He won it as a novice at 125, then the elite at 25, and then the elite at 32. Been going to national tournaments quite a bit. Going out there trying to grab one of those titles, looking to go pro in the next couple months. But yeah, really hardworking kid, super disciplined, loves the sport. He's probably more well known in local gyms than I am at this point because he's everywhere. He spars everybody. He was actually a wild card recently. He had a national tournament in Las Vegas and then hopped over to wild card. Got some photos with Freddie. He ran with Manny and the team. He sparred Manny's son, Emmanuel Pacquiao Jr. They got to spar, got some rounds in. So yeah, he's out there doing his thing. So keep an eye out for the next Fighting Algieri.
Yeah, and Chris, you'll be doing the live real-time chat on ppv.com this Saturday for Manny Pacquiao and Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight championship of the world. Chris, one of the best guys in the business and one of the smartest guys I know. Chris, thanks for joining me, buddy.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it, George. Really good time.
Thanks, buddy.